Hello students, this is the week 3 recorded lecture for ITSU 2006 project management. So you can see that a breakdown structure shows in chart form and tabular form. So we can show it either in chart form or in tabular form. First, if a chart form is look like this. For example, this is our internet project we discussed in developing project charter. So for that project, if this is the level 1, the entire project, the level 2, we divided them into concept, website design, website development, rollout, and further support. So in level 2, we break down the level 1 internet project into 5 different tasks. Now, if we further develop the level 2 task, for example, the concept, we can develop them into evaluate current system, define requirements, define specific functionality, define risk and risk management approach, develop project plan, and brief web development team. Similarly, we need to break down each and every level 2 task into further subtask or sub activities. Now, for level 3, if we further divide the level 3 activities into level 4, for example, if we divide the defined requirements into those 4 subtasks. Here, define user requirements, define concept requirements, define system requirements, define server owner requirements. Similarly, all those other level 3 tasks should be or might be divided into subtasks into level 4. Now, the chart form looks like this. If we move into tabular form, here, for example, this is the tabular form with PMI numbering. It's also similar, just different visualization form. For example, if only one is internet project, level 1. So level 2, concept, website design. So here, 1.1, concept, 1.2, website design, which is similar to this. So 1.2 means, 0.3 means second level. What could be the third level? Under concept, 1.1.1 should be evaluate current system. 1.1.3 should be define specific functionality, and like this. Now, if we further divide 1.1.2, which is the define requirements, into those level 4 tasks, define user requirements, content requirements, and so on, which is similarly to those chart from level 4 activities. So that's how we can divide and develop work breakdown structure into chart from, tabular project numbering form, or tabular PMI numbering form. As I mentioned earlier, this is the lowest level. Level 4 is the lowest level here for that example, and we call it work package. So work package is the lowest level elements in work breakdown structure. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that those schedule activities have 2 areas. One is development of work breakdown structure, which we just saw, and another one, we call it schedule part or network part. So if you now move to that example, you can see that we call it phase-oriented internet WBS. So the same example now, the first part here, we just discussed. So we have level 2, level 3, and level 4 activities in WBS. And another part we have schedule 1, where we not only we list down all the activities from level 1 to 4, but also we managed to put their starting and finishing date of the task as in the plan in our working calendar, so that when we see those calendar activities, we can see when it start and when it finish. Also, it is very important to remember that there are some arrow, which means that when should the task will start, and when it finish, then next task will start now 1.3. For example, if we finish 1.4, define risk and risk management approach, when it finish, we need to move to that part, which is 1.5, develop project plan. So using that total picture, we can see that all the WBS activities and also when it will start and finish. So that's why we call it the project schedule Gantt chart. Now, if we move back to our original slides, here there are different approaches to develop work breakdown structure. For example, first one we call it using guidelines, where some organization like Department of Defense, they provide guidelines to prepare and to develop work breakdown structures for any projects they use. Second one, the analogy approach. We review different similar projects and we review their work breakdown structure and then tailor to our considerable projects. Third one, the top-down approach. We start with the largest item of the project and break them down to the finest element. The bottom-up approach, which is opposite, we start with the specific task and then roll them up to the largest scope or item. And finally, the mind mapping approach. This is a technique that uses branches radiating out from a core idea and to structure thoughts of ideas. Before we move to mind mapping, we'll see two examples of top-down and bottom-up approach. So if I again move back to our supporting slides here. So now the top-down, you can see example here. Imagine that a project team is trying to find a solution to connect a network in Chicago to a network in Phoenix without having to spend much money. So trying to find a solution to connect a network between two places. The bottom-up method, so it should be the bottom-up method, would call it for very specific solution without delving into all the details of each solution. Okay, so we need to clarify this one. It should be the bottom up, and this will come later here. This is the top down. So the bottom-up method would call for very specific solution without delving into all the details of each solution. Since this is the bottom-up, we'll work with different approaches and then move up. The method could investigate the use of new software, new service provider, or even practically any implementation that is still open for discussion. So instead of moving up to down, we actually start with different solution and try to fix the problem. On the contrary, if we using the top-down approach, for example, when you're making a decision to purchase a car, what you actually do? You have to decide what type of car you want to buy, SUV, sports, sedan, minivan, and then what you actually afford, the color, bells and whistles, and everything. So this process things begin with a broad approach and then narrow it down to the specifics. It is in general the standard way that we use the top-down approach. Because in our project, we actually have very defined planned project scope, And then when you have very clear project scope and project deliverables and goals, it's better to use top-down approach, and then so we can process thinking begin with the broad approach or the scope, and then we can narrow it down to the specifics so that we can find the actual standard work breakdown structure.
The Victorian Institute of Technology has other great videos covering many different topics. Please check them out, and thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe the video for more great content like this.